Hello and welcome to another episode of Prop 5 on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. My name is Eric Wiedeke. You can follow me on X/Twitter at Eric Wiedeke. I am joined by Austin Dobbins. You can follow him at AustinD1316. Also, make sure to check out his work on the 5 Reasons Sports website, as he does a lot of writing for baseball. He does some writing for football as well. Austin, how you doing tonight?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Excited to get into these picks for this MLB slate tonight. And before we do move forward, I just want to remind everybody for new users, first time code FIVE, you'll get $50 in bonus funds on your first lineup of $5 or more. That's going to be promo code FIVE. So we are going to get right into it today, Austin. What is your number one play on the board for tonight's MLB slate?
Yeah, so I'm going to start with Jose Ramirez. He's at home versus the Reds and Andrew Abbott today. Abbott's been fairly solid, but he doesn't have good success against the Cleveland Guardians, and Ramirez has found himself with some good success, going 3 for 8 against him. Ramirez just had last week his 22-game hitting streak snapped by the Los Angeles Angels and has already reignited it with a 9-game hitting streak. So I'm going to look towards his hitter fantasy score, as have many others. And I go towards his fantasy score just because he's a threat to steal a base every night. He creates runs himself, gets a walk in a bag. He's at 7, scores, we're there. So that could happen as early as the first inning. The Guardians look to get back on track after losing last night, and last night Ramirez got there doing it the way I'm talking about. He had a hit, and he stole 2 bags, so I look for Jose Ramirez as my number one play of the day.
All right, Jose Ramirez over on 8.5 points for fantasy score, and I'm going to pivot that into a guy that I like for fantasy score today, and that's going to be Gleyber Torres at 6.5 points. A little bit of a renaissance season for Gleyber so far in Detroit. He's been playing really good ball. And this is a guy that over his career just kind of mashes lefty. He's got an 868 career OPS against left-handers. And I think Gleyber tonight is going to continue that success against Cade Povich. Not a ton of ABs against Povich. He's got 5 plate appearances, but he's no hits, but he has worked a walk and gotten an RBI in those 5 plate appearances. So I think Gleyber will go over that 6.5 points for fantasy score tonight. Austin, your second play of the day.
Yes, I'm going to look towards a huge series in the National League, a game that we saw go 11 innings yesterday, and I'm going to go towards Kyle Schwarber. I'm going to go with his fantasy score as well. He's been seeing the ball really well. Last night he walked 3 times, and before that he's been putting the ball in play. Obviously, he's a huge home run threat. He's up to 20 on the year, and his batting average is many points higher than it normally is. He's batting .250. Normally we see him way lower. This year he's got an OPS of 927, which is good for 8th best in the league. And off Colin Rea, he is 3 for 8 with a homer. So he's batting in that 2 hole. He's going to get a lot of at-bats tonight, just like yesterday. And at that, was the number's 6.5, I think, which is a double and a run scored, a double and RBI. It's somewhere in that area. So I look for Schwarber to have a good night tonight, and he can do that with 1 swing of the bat. So if you want to get crazy, I could see him hitting a home run today. If you want to play him on the Demon for the home run. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, between Philadelphia and Chicago, those are 2 really, it's no matter where it's a good hitter's ballpark anytime those 2 teams link up. Second play of the day is going to be actually Ryan Pepio of the Rays against the Red Sox over on his pitching fantasy score. And this is less about the Red Sox necessarily, because he has struggled against the Red Sox this season. But you just look at the way this guy's pitching right now, and at 27.5 points, he's gone comfortably over this number. In 4 out of 5, he's I mean, the entire Rays pitching staff has been just unconscious over the last 3 weeks or so. And Pepio's been very much a part of that. I think it continues tonight against Boston. And it's the value at 27.5 is, in my mind, just too good to pass up for the fantasy score number. Austin, your final play of the day here on your side.
Yes, I'm coming back to the American League with Royals Yankees. The Royals got swept last time by the Yankees in the Bronx. Their offense was pretty much non-existent. And with Max Fried on the mound tonight, I know you may not want to touch the Royals offense, but there's one person who's going to show up in this series, and that's going to be Bobby Witt Jr. Once again, I'm looking at his fantasy score. He's another guy that's a threat to steal a bag. So giving yourself that leeway with that. He's 2 for 6 off Fried and hasn't struck out off him. And he just had, obviously, his White Sox, but a good series to get his bat going into this series where the Royals once again look to prove that they are in the upper echelon of teams in this league. So I look for Bobby Witt on his fantasy score.
Absolutely. And so wrapping it up for me, my third and final play today is going to be in the NL. It's going to be it's going to be a divisional matchup here between the Nationals and the Mets. And I'm going to go with Mackenzie Gore under on his total pitching outs. This is a matchup where I think Gore is one of those guys that there's just a mix of stats that you look for when a guy's not going to go deep into games. Number one, he's a high strikeout guy. And then number two, he's a high hits per 9 guy. So that tells you he's going to throw a lot of pitches. He's going to have to labor to get through some innings. And there's some guys on the Mets side that have pretty good career success against Mackenzie Gore. So I like his number to go over or under 17.5 pitching outs, even though he has trended over this number. I think that trend is snapped tonight. 6 career starts against the Mets. 29 and 2/3 total innings, averaging just a hair under 5 innings per start in his career against the Mets.
Yeah, Jeff McNeil's one of those guys. He's 7 for 10 off him. Starling Marte has good success against him. A lot of the bottom of the order for the Mets actually does good damage off Gore. So if the top of the order can pick up that slack, that's a very good play.
Absolutely. So those are our picks tonight. On Austin's side, you have Jose Ramirez over 8.5 fantasy score. You have Kyle Schwarber over 7.5 fantasy score, and you've got Bobby Witt Jr. Is that just to get a hit for Bobby Witt?
Yeah, I played his fantasy score, but I like everything for him tonight. I think you can slide in total bases, you can go hits, runs, RBIs, and once again, fantasy score with a guy that has the capability to steal bases is always a nice way to give yourself some leverage. So.
Absolutely. And then on my end, we're going Ryan Pepio over 27.5 fantasy score versus the Red Sox. Gleyber Torres over 6.5 fantasy score versus the Orioles today. And Mackenzie Gore under 17.5 pitching outs versus the New York Mets. We will see you guys next time for another edition of Prop 5. Thank you guys so much. And thank you to Austin for joining.
Of course. Have a good night.